back at the helm of the NEC Ready 9625. For those of you who are just tuning in, this is a socket 7 machine. It's got a Pentium 120 in it right now. I've just installed this heatsink, which I received. I don't like the pressure it puts on the CPU. I think it might be a little bit too much, but it seems to be okay. I also don't think I'm going to leave it without thermal paste. Unfortunately, I don't have a tube of thermal paste right now, so I will have to get some. And it's also got the CPU has a sticker on it, which I'd imagine would get ruined by thermal paste. And I just saw a Tusk Bunny blow away there, but anyway. My screw collection seems to be lacking, so I'm going to need to find 3 more screws somewhere for 3 more slot blanks to go into that thing. I also need to find my collection of slot blanks, because I don't know where that went either. But I do think I've got a bag of screws somewhere, so that shouldn't be an issue. But anyway, so this thing's got an ATI 3D Rage chipset, for those of you who don't know, which you probably don't, because I don't think I talked about it when I tested it live. Got an Intel chipset of some description. I don't remember exactly what it is. I believe that those chips down there are cache chips. I should replace the CMOS battery, because it's dead. It's at CR2032, just down there. So that's a good thing. It's not one of those NiCad packs that will explode and leak all over the place like those tend to do. It's also not a Dallas module, which would need to be reworked, which I could do, but I'm lazy. So there's the power connection input. There's the power supply that I've got. The label's on the other side. Oops. I think it's a 200 watt power supply. But anyway, this is the hard drive I'm going to try. I was going to use this quantum fail ball, but it doesn't seem to work. So, well, it would work if I had the jumper that it requires, because apparently this one is one of those lovely ones that actually requires the jumper to be present in order to function, period. So I don't know how, but it doesn't, it's not seen by the computer, so, whereas this one is. It's a 540 megabyte drive. But I'm not sure if this one works either. So if it doesn't, I have an extra, but if it does, cool. I'm just going to use that, because I don't need a large drive for this. Because my plan is probably to use this thing instead of the compact for malware testing, because it's more closely matched to what would have been used back in the day. I've installed this switch here, you can see. I don't know if I've done it correctly. There's the ground braid that comes off of it. Probably going to have somebody tell me the ground braid is in the wrong place, but I think that it's probably fine. I've never had a problem with installing it this way, because the way I see it, it's attached to the case, so if there is a leak to ground on the case, it will go through that instead of going through you, because there's less resistance through this than there is through you. But I don't know, maybe that's wrong. Looks like there's an infrared LED there, or an infrared receiver there, which is interesting. I think that's the power. I couldn't always check, because this exists. So that's reset, which, funny enough, it's missing the switch button, which is kind of annoying. I might have to go find one, unless it never had one in the first place. So, I mean, that's not what that is. No, that's not what that is. The 2 lights are right there. So I don't know what that clear thing is. But anyway, looks like it should be, but this is not clear, so it won't work. The next thing I need to do, I need to replace this floppy drive, because the drive, and it doesn't matter what I set it to, because I did test it at 720 and also 2.88 megabyte, and it didn't work. It still threw an invalid drive type error, so it's the first time I've ever seen a floppy drive so bad that it fails the power on self-test. But it does, so I'm going to pull that out of there, and I'm going to put another drive in. It has to be one that doesn't have a faceplate, which would be this. This doesn't have a faceplate. I just hope that the switch is going to be able to go through. So let's do that. Here's the original drive. Well, original. It's not the original drive. Not only does the switch on the front not actually fit in this slot, which this one doesn't either, but it's also got this label on it. 2003. The system itself is from 1997. So quite a big gap. So no, obviously that is not the original drive. Of course, I hope I got the cable correct, because these cables for floppy drives are not keyed in any way. So you have to know where pin 1 goes. Now they make it easy on the cable side of things. It's the one that's labeled with the red. Turn the video light back on so you can see it. But on the drive, not so much. It's not labeled except on the PCB. So unless you can see the PCB when the drive is installed, or you put the cable on before you install the drive, well, you'll have no idea, and I guess you're going to have to just do trial and error. So the next step is going to be to install this hard drive. So let me do that. Okay. This drive cage is actually interesting in that the hard drive plugs in the bottom of the machine. You can see there where all the screws are. How much do you want to bet that now that I've got all those screws in there and I've got the hard drive all tucked up in a way, that it actually isn't going to work? Got my MS-DOS floppy in there. Let's fire it up. Go over here. And we got fixed disk 0, 540 megs. That floppy drive type is wrong. It's 1.44 meg. So I'm surprised it didn't complain. And these are caching options. This thing is kind of in the way. So let me get it out of here. So you can have a look. Plug and play OS, no. Reset config, no. ISA graphics device installed. Well, if the onboard video is on the ISA bus, sure, but otherwise, no. So I'm going to leave that alone. EGA, VGA is fine. Looks like it supports 80 column CGA and monochrome. That's it. I'm going to ignore the caching, just ROM shadowing, boot options. Number of times machine can fail to boot before previous boot incomplete message appears. You can actually control that. I'm going to set it to leave it alone. Floppy check, that's that thing at the beginning where it seeks the floppy drive. And then summary screen is what appears after, and I'll show you what that looks like. I'm sure we've all seen it before. You can see 32 megs of RAM, although it reports 31, it was actually 32. Security, ignore all of it. APM, ignore all of it. Boot, that should be fine. But I could use plus and minus to change that, so maybe I'll put that down at the bottom. Save and exit. We'll watch it boot again. NEC. I wonder who made this computer. So there's your summary screen. That's what that is. So we'll start MS-DOS. I'm not going to run the setup. We'll run fdisk, which should be on this disk. It's our partition information. Well, it's there. Well, it only says 515, it's actually 540. So that's weird. So we do have a C drive. What's on it? Oh, look at this. Let's try, I wonder what version of Windows this is. Let's try starting Win. Actually, that won't work. Oh boy, that's French. Well, okay, well the other option would be to reboot the system and let it boot off of that hard drive. So I'm curious what's on it now. I might not be able to show it. Did I kill it? Pushed reset. My air just died. Well, that's an interesting reaction to a reset button being pressed. Starting MS-DOS. IMEM is testing extended memory. Windows 3.1. Alright, Novell Word Perfect. It is very definitely French. Like, very French. We'll get rid of that. I don't remember how to do this. Oh, I don't remember the key or command. Hold on a minute. Okay, I did actually manage to get it to come bring all this up. But I don't think it's really going to make a difference. Control Tab. Actually, sorry. What you need to do is you go under Window and then you select Cascade. And then you can use Control Escape to switch between all the ones that are open. So there's actually quite a few games on here. Memory blocks. I wonder if you could actually play this with the keyboard. I don't think so. I might have to see if I can save some of this before I really do much of anything with this. But the hard drive works, at least somewhat. So, there you go. I might even see if I can change the language on this. But I think that's pretty much all that I'm going to do in this video with this machine. So, thank you for watching. If you happen to have any comments, do feel free to leave them down below. And this is CP666 signing off. I hope to see you next time. But I just forgot one thing. And I noted, but the front panel. Notice something missing? You actually can remove this. I don't know why, but you can. Alright. So that's it for this video. Oh, one more thing before I go. This is what I get when I boot back out into MS-DOS mode. It loads a mouse driver, which in and of itself isn't really all that interesting, but look at the options. Mouse systems mode. Somebody was using a mouse systems mouse with this. Well, whatever system the drive was installed in had a mouse systems mouse hooked up to it, which almost makes me wonder what it was used in. Who knows?